Strangers on a Train by Patricia Highsmith. Chapter 11. The detective begins work. Bruno sat and looked at Arthur Jeddard, his father's private detective, and thought how ugly he was. Jeddard had a fat, pink face and little eyes, and wore a dirty suit. "I'll work on this murder for nothing, Charlie," Jeddard said. "I liked your father, and I also think this is all very interesting." "I don't care what you think," Bruno said. "You hated your father, didn't you?" Jeddard asked. "He hated me." "Tell me about Thursday night again," Jeddard said. "I left Mother about 2:45 in the morning. I went to get a hamburger, then I went to a bar, Clark's," Bruno said. "Nobody saw you at Clark's," Jeddard said. "It was a different bar then," Bruno said. "Okay, I want to know who you spoke to," Jeddard said. "You see, I think it's strange that your father died on the night of the day that you left. I think you spoke to someone and they knew you were going away." "I said I don't care what you think," Bruno said. Jeddard smiled. "All right, Charlie, you can go now," he said. Bruno left Jeddard's office angrily, but then he thought about Guy. Jeddard was too stupid to find out about him. Guy and me, Bruno thought, we're like gods. The next day, Jared came to see Bruno and his mother. Bruno was sitting in the garden. "Anything new?" he asked Jeddard. "We found these," Jeddard said and showed Bruno some small pieces of the purple gloves. He looked across the grass. "The murderer ran over there," Jeddard said. "Then he got caught in the branches of the trees on the other side of the wall. These pieces were there." "Really?" Bruno tried to sound interested. "He knew where to go too. The whole thing was planned. The box next to the wall, the broken back door." Jeddard didn't finish. "I'll see your mother now." Bruno watched Jeddard's fat body walk slowly across the grass. He tried not to think about Jeddard, but the man seemed to be everywhere, and a few minutes later he followed Jeddard into the house. "Do you think Charlie knew about the murder?" Bruno heard his mother ask. "Yes, I think so, Elsie," Jeddard said. "Don't you?" "I'll certainly tell you everything he tells me, Arthur," she said. His own mother! What if she remembered all the stories about Guy from the paper? Suddenly Bruno felt alone. He wanted to sleep more than anything, but he needed more and more whiskey for that. And he woke up earlier and earlier in the morning. Chapter 12. The Good Man and the Bad Man. Guy had thrown away the big gun, the purple gloves, all the clothes he wore on that night, and his shoes. But he did not throw away his own little gun. He cleaned his flat again and again, especially at night, because he only slept for 2 or 3 hours now. If he did not clean the flat, he tried to work. He had a job to plan a hospital, but how could he do that with so much guilt in him, with so much murder? He was not taking any money for the job. How could he kiss his mother again? How could he talk to his friends? There was only Anne now. He still loved her, but his love for her made him 2 different people. The good man who loved Anne and built hospitals, and the bad man who murdered old men and helped to murder his wife. The new house was ready, and one Sunday, Guy and Anne and her parents went to see it. I hear there are lots of ducks and birds here. We could eat some. Anne's father said, Are you good with a gun, Guy? They all looked around the house. It was only a month until the wedding now. We'll sit here every night as husband and wife, Guy thought. How can I do that when I know the things I've done? Guy, Anne said, are you all right? Yes, he said and laughed too loud. I think you're working too hard, Anne said. Anne and her mother started to make dinner, and her father made some drinks for all of them. What am I doing with these people? Guy thought. They're so good and I'm so bad. I'm not part of their family, but if I try hard to live with them, that other man inside of me, the bad one, will go away. He must. After dinner, Guy and Anne walked together in the garden. It was almost dark. I'm going to get a job with a company of architects in New York, Anne, Guy said. But you have the hospital to do, Guy, she said. That'll take you a year. Is it because you won't take any money for the hospital job? Partially, Guy said, but I just feel like it. I know what the problem is, Anne said. Do you, Anne? Guy said. Do you? For a minute he wanted her to know everything. It's Miriam, isn't it? Anne said. You've changed so much since she died. No, Do you want us to marry, Guy? She asked. He couldn't answer her. He almost didn't know how to speak to her honestly now. Anne took his hand. I think, she said, you need me a lot just now, and I need you a lot. Guy looked into her eyes and thought, if I can do this, if I can keep this all, the other man inside me will go away.